and all kinds of stuff. So
We're ready to go.
okay.
What's up, mediums? Welcome to the Writer's Journey, the show where we are on a journey together to learn more about writing. So thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Lauren Moore, and with me is the gorgeous and talented Kayleen Williams. Tonight we're talking about how to get the most out of your author website. To dig into this topic, we have Rob McClellan here with us today. He's the owner and operator of Mod Farm Design, a boutique website design and management service that caters specifically to the needs of professional editors and authors. Bob joined us last season to talk about the website basics, themes, plugins, and how they work together. We also talked a bit about newsletters on that episode, so if you want to check it out, it's there. For this round, we really wanted to focus in on how to actually use your website, what you can expect from it, and how to get the most out of it. So Rob, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yay! Now, so if you're like me out there, you might have a website that's kind of sitting and gathering dust because maybe you haven't been as good about utilizing it as you should. Now I've totally embarrassed Rob because he made my awesome website, and now I'm admitting to the world that I don't know how to use it properly. So Rob's here to help us get all that straightened out. So thank you.
Oh, I'm happy. This is it's my passion. So I hopefully I just keep rambling on about it, and people can
That's okay. Ramble away. We'll soak it all in.
We'll play it and replay later.
And Kayleen, I'm glad that you're on the show too, because you actually set up your website. And a lot of authors are tech savvy and they are able to use WordPress and put something together. So this is kind of a show for everyone.
Oh yeah. I got my domain name, purchased it, the whole nine. I went the whole nine, man, and made it look all pretty with its things, and I even updated it once. Ooh.
All right.
Like, that's the extent of how I know how to use it. Add stuff, fiddle with the buttons. I don't know.
Well, it's for a lot of authors, that's pretty much what they do. They follow. They kind of get things set up. Maybe a designer helps them, or maybe they do it themselves, or maybe they use WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or whatever it is they want to use, and then they kind of, I won't exactly say they forget about it, but it's almost like, well, that's done, and it's almost like it's viewed as like a poster on the wall of your college dorm. It's like, well, it's up there, and look, it's gorgeous, and now I never have to think about it again. And I think that, and then they focus a lot on other things. Advertising, huge one. A newsletter, still popular, but you'd be surprised how many people have a website but have their newsletter sign-up page not on their website. They direct people to something, like that, say MailChimp or MailerLite provides a little free sign-up page that they get. And so it's almost like you have all this capability, but it sits. And it costs people something. It either costs them, for most people, even with cheap hosting, it's $10 a month. Now, $10 a month is, let's face it, it's not a huge dollar thing. I know people that have thousands of dollars a month in their ad spend. But the way I kind of look at it is, if you can, for people who are very ad centric, and there are many who are, if you could reduce that ad spend by 10%, 20%, but still keep your sales at the same level, or maybe even have a whole different curve where you can gradually, reduce your ad spend a little bit, but still either keep the same level or even increase it a little bit, just by making improvements in your website and leveraging your website's capability a little more, then, that's kind of a big deal. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that data. I have one author increase the sales by 20% last year. And he was a big author. He wasn't like, it's not like he went up $5. He had a significant change in his income just by really using the website more and a better website.
That makes a lot of sense to me, which, I should have started trying to use my website more when I heard this at my day job. Had a customer come in who specifically stated, I never go to a store. Oh my goodness, now the dogs are barking. Sorry. I never go to a store and I never shop at a place until I visit their website. So I can
Yep.
see the products that they have, what their pricings might be, what their
Yep.
return policies are. And I feel like that might be a lot more common these days. You know, if people don't have to leave their house, they don't want to, especially right now.
Definitely have
And
truth there.
you know, a website's a perfect way to, you know, window shop before actually going out and about.
It is. I mean, that's certainly a way, and we talked about this briefly last time about kind of the browsing experience. That
Mhm.
um, Amazon's pretty awesome, but it's really made to do a very specific thing, um, and that might not be the only thing that you want to have happen. Uh, so I see a lot of authors that have pictures of their books on their website, but if you click on that link, it just goes to Amazon.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it goes to Amazon in the same browser tab. So you have to forcefully get back to the website prior. You can't just, it's not in parallel. You didn't open up a new tab. And so someone might have just been looking for more information and now they've been yanked out of your site.
Mhm.
Um, and if they're in a place where they really want to buy that book, then being yanked out of the site is fine because Amazon's really good at selling a book that people want to buy. It is less good at selling a book that you don't know if you want to buy, you know. And so uh, and you can see that from its page system, like the way the page is designed. If you just go to any book page right now, you know, you'll see that, you know, you get a nice picture of the book. It confirms what it is. It tells you, you know, your buy options, you know, Kindle, audiobook, or paperback. It gives you a little price if the price is applicable, or free if it's, you know, Kindle Unlimited. And you get maybe a sentence and a half of the description of the book. Really, it's just there to confirm that you're in the right place.
Mhm.
It's not really there to sell you the book. It's there for you to purchase the book. So there, and even if you go there, you'll see on that screen that there's at least 2 other ads for things that are not your book on that screen, uh, and that uh, the amount of that real estate of those ads is most likely larger than the size of your book cover.
Oh yeah.
So it's not designed to sell your book. It's designed to sell a book.
Mhm.
So if you go to that page and you want to buy that book, it's very good at selling you that. But as soon as you scroll down, if you scroll down looking for more information or move on, what do you get? The first thing you get is 20 books that are not yours,
Mhm.
you know, because Amazon's immediate assumption is that person was curious, but they didn't want to buy. So let's give them something else to be curious about. Maybe they'll like some of these.
Yeah, you have
And then
to
you have to
scroll
scroll down
pretty
some
far
more
to get to anything
to,
else.
to get to more information, to what they call the publisher information, which is your second chance at selling something. You know,
So the
and
purpose of an
so
Amazon ad is to find those curious readers and to direct them to your book, but really to direct them to a book that'll satisfy that
that's right.
curiosity. But so it,
Amazon cares a lot about readers,
mhm.
um, and less about your specific book. You know, so it's really kind of there to facilitate that purchase. If you go and hit buy, you bought it. You bought it in a second. It's fantastic at that. I mean, it's great at that. But if you go and you're like, oh, I don't know, what's this about? What's this thing? Who's the author like? What's this? Is this part of a series? What book is this in the series? I'm not sure. Let me look. It doesn't have a whole lot of that. It doesn't make it super easy. It doesn't make it particularly hard, but you can tell that that's not its focus. It's not focused on giving you that information. It's focused on having you click Kindle, audiobook, or paperback. That is the focus,
Buy now.
you know. And so there's just a difference in the sites and what they're made to do. Um, you know, and that's sort of your website is your home turf, so you get to make it how you want it to be, and you get to meet the needs of your readers or prospective readers. You know, and hopefully, if you do that well enough, they click through and go to Amazon, and then Amazon takes over and does the job. But Amazon does kind of put a lot of the emphasis on the sale on the seller,
Mm.
on the author in this case.
All right. So since the emphasis is on the seller, on the author, then how does having a strong, efficient website help us to make those sales? What should a website do? What hole should it fill for the author in their marketing platform?
Well, for most, there's a little difference between traditional published authors and self-published authors. Traditional published authors usually don't buy much of their own advertising. They don't run campaigns like that. That's why they went with the publisher in the first place. So they have a slightly different need than a self-pub author. But the website kind of fulfills the same role for both. It's just a little bit more of the emphasis and how it's applied. So I wrote a bunch of notes. So there's kind of four things that a website is supposed to do, especially any website, but an author website too. And that's educate, encourage, engage, and execute. Okay, so this is four pillars of stuff. And when you look at that, you might say, well, what are those things? The educate is sort of the base thing here of you want the website to show the information that you want your reader to have. In your case, in an author's case, it's almost always about their book or their series. And the data we have shows that when people go and look for things on your website, it is overwhelmingly book information related. More than 50% of all page views on our websites are related to a book. So either the book or the series. People go there. And I'm not talking about 10-page views. I'm talking about tens of thousands of page views. So if your website's getting, say, 1,000, 1,500 page views a month, which is it's a decent amount, some people get that a day, but that's rare. And 50% of them are for a book, then you're talking 500, 750 page views of people that are coming specifically to find something out. And so you want to build your site and design your site so that it does what it's supposed to do. So, of those things, you're educating them, you're engaging them. Okay, part of the engagement is not only just when they're on the site, you want to have an effective page layout and the right colors to get them to do something, but you also want them to be able to find you quickly. So search engines and social media optimization is it's very important that your site be able to do that, because what you want to do, the difference, I guess, between your website and an advertisement, but there are many differences, but this one is very poignant, is that your site is working for you 24/7 all the time for free. Okay, it's whatever you have done. If you set it up to do its job, it's going to keep doing it for forever. And you don't have to pay for that. And you can change it however you want. An advertisement will also work 24/7, but it will only work for as long as you're paying. And as I was listening to Craig Martell's podcast a couple days ago, that the cost for advertising has been increasing, because there's a lot of competition. People want more sales to try to keep their income up. And, so there's a lot of cost there. The way I see your website working for self-published or traditional is very much a companion or an augmentation to your advertising. We know that you're going to do advertising. Very few people, especially in the modern era with book marketing, have a great selling book and no one paid a cent. Someone did something, either Amazon ads, Facebook ads, something else. I listened to you talk with Chris Fox on, his marketing, and he spends it's not like he's spending $20. He's spending thousands of dollars, but he's making thousands of dollars. And my view is you'll never get rid of that. But if you get your website tuned well, maybe instead of spending $7,000 a month, you'll spend $6,000 or $5,500 and still get there. And you do that by providing the content on your site that people want in a way that they want it, and you have it well indexed for search. so that when people search for it, even now, people don't necessarily go to Amazon to search. You just open up your browser and say, you know, fantasy or whatever, and it comes up. And half the time it goes to Amazon, but it doesn't always. And sometimes people find out about you through a recommendation. Oh, I love this author. This person's great. Well, what do? They type into Google the author's name. Well, if they do that and it comes to a website that's there and it has cool and it's laid out well and they can see the series they liked and they can find what their friend told them about, they're probably gonna click something. You know, at least the indications are very good that they will, if it's done properly. So you have that. The other E, my other 4E is encourage, and that is if your website's designed well, it will start to guide people towards what you want them to do. You know, if you want them to buy something, then you can arrange the buttons, you can change the colors, you can do some tweaks to encourage them to do that, you know, to get that engagement in and to encourage them to move in a certain direction. If you want them to sign up for your newsletter, there's a way to encourage them to sign up for your newsletter. It could be a pop-up, it could be different page cues, it could be different colors in the menu or some highlighting that kind of draws the eye. And so you want to do that if you can. You know, when we changed our button structure for the book pages for all of our Mod Farm sites, we did that specifically, and we saw a significant change in action. We didn't change the labels. We didn't even change where the buttons were. They were in the same place. It's just that we made the buy button red, and we made all the other ones just like with an outline. And suddenly, buy clicks go up, 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 up. You know, when we first did it, they were about even with read a sample and see the series, and now they're double. They're double those.
Visual cues are huge. Like in graphic design, like for a poster, every placement of a you know, a word or an image on a poster is really considered because they're drawing the eye for a reason. So
right.
Yeah, making certain things bigger, different colors, highlighting. Excuse me. Yeah, what you're saying.
And your website's the same. What's above the fold? What's below the fold? You know, and when we say fold, we basically mean the screen. If you have to scroll down to something, your chances of getting to it are significantly less.
Have you found any other changes that made a big difference in results?
That was the biggest. We've done a few things with homepage layouts and stuff, and it just depends. And every author uses their site a little differently too. So that kind of makes it difficult. We use the book page buttons as a real solid metric to say, okay, you know, we can measure this, and this is kind of important, so let's focus on that. But other things we kind of keep an eye out of is, you know, how people use their blog and what they blog about, and what blog posts get attention and what ones don't. And that was another one of the E's here. Part of execute. I don't know if it's part of execute. It's probably part of engagement. You know, the execute part is that the website has to do its job. Okay, it has to be fast. It has to be secure. It has to have the tools in it that you need for it to work. So, you know, under the hood, it needs to have an SEO tailoring capability, whether it's Yoast or SmartCrawl or some other thing.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
SEO is search engine optimization.
Okay.
And it's basically the indexing of your site and how it's presented in search results. You know, so I've seen author websites where the author was big enough that name recognition was pulling them up. But you could see in the little sentence underneath the website name in Google search results, it says something like, come back later, or, you know, tailor this tomorrow, or, you know, something like it's not accurate, it's not real, you know, because they didn't set it and there was some default, and that's what the Google's pulling up. It's saying, oh, well, that's what you told us to display here, so that's what we're displaying. So you want the ability to tailor that. I've seen a couple of our authors have very strong SEO. They really worked at it, and they worked with me to tailor things specifically. They said no, and sometimes it got a little frustrating. It's like, really, are you sure? And they're like, it's okay, all right, you're the client, let's do it. And they knew their audience. They knew their audience very well, and some of them have really impressive action on their site as a result. When we look at search, when we look at why people come to your website, I'm jumping around all over the place, so I'm going to get back on point. So we were talking about the 4 E's, and then we needed your website has to have a few things to happen. It needs to have some content. It needs to have the content that readers are looking for. And it's not what people think. Like the old days, they used to say content has to be blog posts, or, oh, I need to write something. No, you don't. They're not interested. I mean, they are interested if you have something worth being interested in, but what they're really interested in is your books. You need to have all your books in there. You need to have them organized. You need to have your series straightened out. You need the books in the right order so that they can look at it and say, oh, that's the first one. Or, they need to know that if you have an audiobook, then a sample of that audiobook should be in that book page with that book. It should all be in there because it all gets used. When people show up, they start clicking around,
Yeah.
And if you have it, it encourages more, and it lets you know that they have an audiobook, which for many people is very, very profitable. And if you have nothing, then they're going to click somewhere else, and every additional click is a problem. So you want to try to get them what they want and then give them a direct channel to buy it. So, hey, you've come here, it says all the things you want, it's really nice and laid out, and if you click this, you can buy it right now with no problem. And it works. So that content is important. But we do have authors that blog quite a bit, that blog hard.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, our site data, when people come to a website for us, let me see, I think I have these search results here. Okay, 40% of it is organic search, which means they searched in Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever it is they're using. And that search result pointed them to the author. Okay, so that was a pure search. That's 40%.
That's pretty good.
That's not 2%. That's 40%. Right? So direct people coming is 27%. Now this is, and this number isn't just one site. This is a broad number of sites over a year. Okay, we took all this data, we measured it, we looked at it. So 27% of people know where they're going. They know they're going to laurenmoorebooks.com because that's where they want to go. And they've been there enough that they remember it. So that's 27%. That's a lot. So you're now at 2/3 of people are coming to your website, not due to advertising, not due to social media, not due to anything else. They came there specifically because they either searched for you and found you, or they knew enough about you to go there directly. So 67%, that's a lot.
That's pretty good.
All right.
Those are potential new readers.
It could be, or just old readers that, now you don't have to work as hard to reach, if you're giving what they want. All right, social was 25%, and just a referral, like a link for another site, was about 7%. But what's interesting is that a lot of that search, a good portion of it, came to specific blog posts. And we have a guy that wrote about, he lives off grid. He wrote about living off grid, and he has several posts about doing that, about how to live that way. How to thresh wheat by hand, you would think is not a big deal. Like, who would search for that? He gets hundreds of hits a week for that blog post specifically.
Wow.
People come all the time, just constantly. It's a constant stream for years now. He's had that post up for like 5 years.
So that's the thing, is a lot of information, it's not gonna be, wasted. It's like especially with like your backlist, you're updating that. And that's a great reason for old readers to come to your site. Anyway.
So that post is relevant to his books. He writes about that stuff. His books generally involve that type of living in some element, post-apocalyptic, some guys that just walk off the face of the earth, that kind of thing. And so you put some of those books into those posts, and it kind of cues people in. So they didn't come here knowing he was an author. They came here looking for learn how to thresh wheat. But then they're like, oh, look, he wrote this story about stuff that I like. And then they click on it. I have another author that he writes historical fiction, and he writes about reenactments.
Mm.
And he gets into it, like with pictures, and we're doing this, and the armor and the clothing, and he'll do things about how he stitched it. And I mean, seriously, he's very enthusiastic about it. And that level of detail is in his book. And he gets a lot of cross traffic. His blog gets a lot of action. Because people are looking for that, and then they find out, wow, this guy writes about this stuff too. Let me take a look at some things, and oh, look, he's got an audiobook too. I can listen to that while yeah, it's done. Sale. So he has a very high click rate. So it's you have different types of content that draw people in, and your website kind of enables you to do that and keep it. So we found that if you have information that people want, and then you give it to them in a clear way, they do stuff with it.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, it's not that simple, but it's pretty simple. That's the gist of it. Yeah. And it does that all the time. It just keeps doing it all the time.
I'm kind of listening to you, and I'm thinking, like, well, what are my interests? What things do I know? What things, could I want to share? But I kind of keep coming back to, what am I already doing? And that's what I'm thinking that the audience might be thinking to themselves right now. What do I have to offer? What are you already offering? What are you already excited about? And then how can you, with the least amount of time possible, turn that into something short, quick, helpful, and get it up on your website?
Well, helpful is the key word. Short and quick isn't that necessary. Sometimes long and detailed is better, depending on what it is, in terms of that type of information. And that's not the only type. The biggest bang for the buck, 100% no-brainer, is books. You're an author, your main thing is books. People are coming to you looking for your books. Your brand is your books. Like, people get worried, oh, well, I'm this person. No, you are who your books are.
Yeah.
If you're a science fiction writer that does military science fiction, then guess what? You're a military science fiction person. That's your brand. You're already in, because that's what you do. If you do multiple things, then your brand is to be multiple things. But you are what you're writing about, as far as your readers are concerned. So the number one thing, in my opinion, to get your website to work better for you is to have an individual page for every book, a page for every series, and have your series, indexed to show what all the books are and everything in there, and be able to let your readers browse and find what they're looking for. I don't always know what they're looking for. Most of the authors don't. The authors I talk about usually don't know when their readers come to their site, what are they looking for? I don't know specifically what they're looking for, so I kind of make sure whatever they're looking for, they're going to find it. So I kind of get it all in there. But I do know that people really browse. If you have a big catalog on your site, say, 50 books, 100 books, people will come and browse through your books. They will click, and I can track them. I can see them come into, like, they'll come into a blog post, or, for example, okay, so we landed on this blog post, and oh, we saw this book and we clicked on that, and that brought us over here. And then we clicked on the full series, so now we're looking at the whole series. And then we went back to the first book, and then we saw that, and then we said, well, maybe they already seen the first book, or maybe there's another recommendation that's a series similar to that. So there's like, oh, well, then I'll look at that one. I see visitors come to sites that are large like that and go through 10, 15, even 20 page views as they just go around. And sooner or later, they don't always click on something on a buy button, but generally, if someone went through that much information, they clicked on something. They bought something, and sometimes they know exactly what they want. What was it? Scott Moon. I'll drop his name on there. We manage his site. He put up his shorty book. We moved it up to the first page when I think when he did the omnibus edition, and people came right in there and clicked, and they went right to buy, and I could watch the journey and came to the homepage, went to the book page, click buy, done. Like 20 people a day were doing it, for a couple days there when it first kind of went out. And if you give them what they want and you make it easier for them to find it, they tend to do it.
That's really
the number one. That's the number one. I would do that.
Do you notice a difference between authors who kind of focus their content on just their books versus authors who are adding in other things that are fun, like blog posts or videos or something? Do you see like a difference in the engagement with the audience?
For videos, I don't see much engagement. And that's not, I think, it has anything to do with the video. I think it has a lot to do with when people have video, they just share to YouTube. They never share to their site. They just always connect to YouTube. And so that's where everybody goes. If you direct everybody there, then that's where they go. And there isn't much searchable content on a video unless you write in, like go back in and write in the metadata for search. So it doesn't come up on the search result, in Google or whoever will start pushing it to YouTube instead of to you if there's nothing there. So I don't see that much for video. For book pages, I see a lot. I think I have a data thing here about what people do on their website, like when they come to your website, what do they do? So 27% go to the home page, and that's where 27% of the traffic is at the home page. And then book pages are about 50% of traffic, total site traffic over the year, averaged over, a lot of sites. So they go there, so they go to the homepage, and generally they're going to see what they want on the homepage. If it's a new release or maybe your latest blog post or something, most of that's on the homepage. And plus everyone goes there anyway, because you type in learnmorebooks.com and that's where you're going to go. You're not going to, you're going to go there. So everybody goes there, and usually if it's something new, it's on your homepage if your site's active. Then it's a book page, and then it's blogs. Blog gets 14%, and the last few months it's been higher. I've had some guys write some really catchy blog posts. There's been a lot of blog post traffic the last month in the network. And then it's about page. A lot of people go there. But that's about 4%. And then it's the newsletter page. Just sign up for a newsletter. That's 3%. So when we saw that data, we started really thinking about, okay, all right, one, what does that mean? Does that mean anything? Do we care? Or is it just something that's kind of, oh, well, okay, here we go, whatever. And most of our sites put a lot of effort into getting that newsletter signed up for. People got pop-ups, people take out ads on social media to push people to the newsletter. A lot of people push people to the newsletter. There's a lot of, there's links at the bottom of pages. There's a lot of things to get people to go there. People don't want to go there. It's hard to get people to that page. I don't know if it's because a lot of people are already on newsletters, or if they, kind of once you're signed up, you never do it again. You're kind of like, okay, I've signed up for your newsletter. I don't need to sign up twice. I already did it, and you're done.
That is true.
For me, when I click on websites and it's a pop-up, like it then grays out everything I was just reading or looking at, and it's like, hey, sign up for my newsletter, get 10% off, whatever it is. And I'm just like, I am so annoyed right now. Yeah, most of the time, unless I really, really need to look at what that website is saying, like if I was just curious, complete exit out. I don't like the newsletter pop-up. I completely exit the website.
Agreed. Can't click out of there fast enough.
Yeah. So people ask me if those things work. They do work if they're done in a way that is friendly to people. You want to let people know that there is a newsletter and there's an incentive to signing up for it, and people are going to do it or not do it. And most of our conversions are like between 2 and 4% on pop-ups, which I guess is okay. I mean, it's actually kind of a decent industry standard for that, so I feel that we're in there. And I think it's just something that people aren't super excited about unless there's a reason to. We've had good runs with signups on newsletters for specific events. One of our authors serialized a novel through his newsletter, and every month he gave 60 to 100 pages of story as a download. People sign up for that, and every month, the week prior to the next install, we usually did on the first of the month, you get another. He put a note out to social media, hey, the next episode's coming in a week, sign up and get it. And you see another big spike, of signups, and then nothing for the rest of the month. Like it really dies down, one or two, and then 50, and then down. And he grew his newsletter in very short order that way. He went from 0 to over 1,000 in just a couple months. But it doesn't. It's very specific. But people don't go there. So unless you really incentivize them, like heavily incentivize them to do that, it's just not something that they're natively interested in. So people go to the blog because there's something that they search for, or maybe they were just curious and they poked around and saw something interesting. They go to the book page because that's really why they're there. They're there to find out what's going on with your books. They go to the about page if they're curious about you. But again, it's only 4.5% of people are curious about your about page. It's not a huge number. So the predominant is, your homepage has to be current. If you let your homepage get out of date, why is it there? Your book pages should always be current. Otherwise that's why 50% of your total views are for your book pages. So you should probably make those current. If you have a new book or whatever, that's what they came looking for. So, there's a lot of that.
I've already been thinking of ways to, at least for now, beef up my website. So what you're talking about with the I don't know what you called it, but if they have to scroll, man, I'm pretty sure you have to scroll pretty far before you see the fold, before you see, like my first book cover. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to change that like right quick.
For most of our sites, a book is right there on that top page.
Yeah.
Unless the author felt very strongly about branding and said, no, I need a big brand image because this is what I want. But even then, I encourage them. That's not really what you want. People know why they're there. You gotta. But some don't. So that way, the next thing, the very next thing they hit, is going to be, their most recent release or a featured book or their series or something is going to be right there, because that's what they came looking for.
All right, so definitely books at the top, most recent releases definitely at the top. And before we continue, we have a little bit of a book spotlight. I'm going to jump right in there on that. Wait,
yeah. Can I change the video view so we can see your parrot?
Oh, I've been trying to hide her.
She's right here, and she's
that's cool.
Everyone to see.
You say hi, Sapphire. Say hi. She's real. She's not. No, don't bite.
She's sitting on Kayleen's shoulder right now. Like, Kayleen is a pirate and adorable pair.
Yes. She's currently cleaning herself. So I don't know if you guys can hear that when she's cleaning, but it's like this scrapey sound. So I keep muting my mic because she scrapes. You scrape, girl. Yes. What? Okay. Anyway. Book spotlight. You can do the spotlight with me? Yeah? All right. Today's book spotlight is on Platform Mastery, an indie author mastery guide by Nick Thacker. What's a platform, and how do I build it, and what the bleep do I do with it when I have one? Well done, Mr. Thacker. Well done indeed. Michael Anderle, CEO, LMBPN Publishing, seven-figure author, creator of 20 books to 50K. TM. Build your platform, launch your career. Most authors have a website. Few authors have a true platform. No matter where you are in your author career, just starting out with a single book, or you're a 5-figure per month author of multiple series, there's another level to reach. Most of us want to reach that next level. Most of us have no idea how to do that. It starts with a platform, a true online presence that allows you to level up at will. In Platform Mastery, you'll learn the actual steps to building a true author platform, the difference between a website and a platform, how to build a home base and set up your outposts, how to level up in your author career. What's your ceiling and how can you blow past it? In Platform Mastery, full-time USA Today bestselling author Nick Thacker breaks down what it means to launch an author platform and what it means to use it to reach the next level. No matter where you are today, there is something you can do right now to get where you want to be. You don't need more books, although that can help. You don't need to be a better writer, but that could help too. You need a better platform, a plan of attack, a belief that you can reach the next level. Platform mastery is that plan. Click by now or
Right now.
do. So says the parrot.
So that's an excellent book for today's episode because that's talking about your author brand as a whole, of which part having a website is a key important piece. So before we get into some of the details on why that's so important or how you can use your website, just like in sum, why is the website really key to having a strong author platform?
Because that is you. Look, your website is the only thing that you own on the internet. It's the only thing that you control at all times. So it's your brand, it's your books. You can change it. If you want to have a store, go for it. If you want to expand it and get into, well, like Nick Thacker's gone from writing fiction to being much more of a brand, a knowledge person, a speaker. He sells not only custom versions of his books, special editions of his books that you can't get other places, but now he's probably going to start getting into classes and courses and different consultations and stuff, and all that is through your website. Like it's all right there. It's the thing that you have in control, so you can start bringing those elements in. You can't do that on Twitter. Twitter is what Twitter is. Twitter is a tool to get the word out, but you can't run a course through Twitter. You have to go through something else. So you can either go to, say, Udemy or some other, course platform system, and maybe you'll do that anyway if it's simpler, or you can upgrade your website to do it. And that way you get to keep all the money, and you get to control it your way. Your website doesn't get, no one changes it, no one alters it, no one crops the pictures, no one censors you. If you're a little wild, none of that happens. It's yours. And if you do it right, even as a beginning author, if you get set up with something that works, even if it gets something that doesn't work, but you still have your domain name, you can grow and build on that and change it as you need to as your career progresses. But you can't, you don't have that same level of control or history or growth in a Facebook post. If you write a really cool Facebook post, tomorrow it will be gone. It will be gone in the ether. If you write a cool blog post and you share it on social media and it gets indexed, then it might be like, one of my authors who's been getting several hundred hits a week for 5 years. If you own it, then you own it. And I think that that's important. And I think that that's the slow burn of marketing that we don't talk about a whole lot, and it's also the stability of your platform too. You can kind of start with a small website and really kind of broaden out into a bigger more robust thing as your needs or your dreams change, but you can't do that on social media, and you can't really do that with advertising either. So I think it's kind of, I guess it's the difference between a house and a motorhome. you know a
You know,
house
that
kind of has a whole different view to it.
that makes a lot of sense. Like, if you're renting, for example, like there's not a whole lot you can do with the house that you're renting unless you get permission from the owner, from the landlord. But if you own that house, you can knock down a wall. You could paint it whatever color. You could add additions. It's the same thing. With our platform. What do you want that house to look like? How many rooms do you need to have? What's the first entrance going to look like for the new readers? Definitely your most latest book, because that's what everyone, especially your current readers, are going to be looking for. And yeah, and I do like that idea, like when they click on, ooh, I'm going to click that picture of the book. Instead of being taken to Amazon, you get taken to another internal page within the website where they get the direct information that is so hard to find on Amazon. They don't have to scroll through 10,000 other books and all this book description stuff. They can just find it, see it as you want them to see it, and then you have the big, bright, shiny buy now button that then take them to Amazon, because by that point they've been shopping, they've been browsing, they want it, and they know how to handle Amazon. They don't have to do all the scrolly bits.
Yeah.
Because you can put highlights of your reviews on there, I'm assuming. For your reviews, you could put little reviews on that little book page. And
we have a few book pages. We've cherry picked some pretty nice reviews and made a little graphic out of them, made them look nice. Oh yeah. But that's the benefit. You get to do that, and you get to put them where you want them, where you feel they're the most effective. You get to kind of arrange things that you want. And the only place where you can really do that is on something that you own. Whatever it is you want that page to look like, if you, Facebook or anywhere else, Amazon, they make those decisions for you. You don't have a lot of choices, but on your own website, you have all the choices you want, really.
Now, there are some things I could be doing with my website, but I'm not. Are there other opportunities I might not know about?
Well, you're a little different because your website is as much for your editing business as it is for kind of your versioning author business, and so part of that is, the biggest thing is to use it. Your website may or may not, your website's a tool. Let's just say that. Okay, your website's a tool, and it can do a whole lot of things. It can do many things at once, or it can do very specific things. It depends on really what you want to do. For a lot of service businesses like yours and mine, the business is really built on personal recommendation. People recommend you, and so then someone's going to look you up. So they're generally going to, if they got recommended to you on Facebook and someone linked to you, then someone's going to click on that link to go to your Facebook profile, right? Well, is your website in your Facebook profile?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that's a start. See, so now they
maybe.
got that. So then maybe they're going to click on that, and they're going to go to your website. Is your website kind of showing what you do? Have your prices, maybe a little bit of your body of work, stuff like that. If it has all those things, which yours does, then that gives them some confidence. Now, they may or may not use the contact form to contact you. They might just go back to Facebook and instant message you, which happens to me like 98 times out of 100, I swear. That's everyone seems to be preferred form of communication is to either message me on Twitter or message me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Maybe once in a blue moon I get an inquiry letter through my website itself, but they all reference my website, and they'll say, hey, we went there and we saw your pricing and we saw this and we have a question about this, and can I have this thing, and what's this going to be? And okay, well, you went there, you saw it, you saw what I'm talking about, you see the services we offer, and now you've contacted me, but you've contacted me having already been to my website, and you know what you want and what to ask. And I would imagine that your website would be doing the same. Now, the difference between mine and yours is that I run all of my business through mine. So I have a system set up to send people quotes. I have a system set up to issue invoices, to receive payments, to do all those things, because it's just simpler. For me, I kind of set that up, and then if I want to send people a quote, I just go down and say, okay, you want 15 book pages and this basic thing and this here and this migration cost and this, and done. It's done in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Heck, it's done in 15 seconds, really. I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't take long. And then that sends out a form letter to, the client, and, it has links. Hey, click here to accept, click here to pay your deposit, click here, it's done. And so it's you can use it in that way if you want to. Other people may not feel that's necessary. It works for me, but other people have different ways to do it. For authors, again, the main thing here is, one, they want to inform the readers about their books and make sure that the readers are comfortable, and the readers are comfortable enough to buy either right then immediately or at some other determined time. Like I was telling you before the show, we had an author we overhauled his website, and again, I don't want to promise this probably isn't typical, but it was very much for him. And he went from almost zero web presence to a very strong web presence in a hurry. He went from zero newsletter to a strong newsletter in a hurry, because we really kind of helped him get all this stuff going, and he was very responsive to tools and using sites and promoting, and he was on board with the plan. He had an increase in his sales of 20% over the year, and he was a good selling author before, so that was a significant raise for him, at no cost. It was just providing better information and a smoother way to pay. But when you look at the clicks that he got on his site, which we track religiously, he didn't have that many. He didn't have 20% sales worth of clicks through his website. I'm sorry to say, it wasn't that awesome. It's not like he started getting thousands of clicks off his website, but the net result was thousands of sales. And thousands of people came. So they might have seen it and then maybe bought it off their phone. I do that all the time. I rarely buy off of Amazon. I buy off of my Kindle. I just look it up and get it, and then it goes right there. And
I was just going to say, they could be like, ooh, on this website, switch to Kindle, type in the thing. I know the cover to look for. Bye.
Right, exactly. They do the same thing. Oh, that's what it is. And they do it that way. So, or maybe they come back later and they do it at night, or then do it next weekend or whatever, but it still happened. So that's why I feel that the education part, the information part of your website is just absolutely crucial. And then everything else is just helping people get there. You're encouraging them to get there. So have it in your social media, Twitter and Facebook, and share it occasionally. Say, hey, I do this, or I have this book, or here's my thing. I had an author a couple days ago. I told him his click rate on his website was really high. You should try something, try sharing from the website for a change, because he never did. So he did, and it did well. It was a good share. He sold like 15 books off that share. Just not promoted, he just shared it.
Yeah, one share and 15 sales. That's awesome.
And again, that's not typical, but it worked for him. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's just, oh well, yeah, click. So if you don't share it, people never go there. I guess there's that.
Now we got some questions ahead of time. Tyler Davis asks, what are the best ways to convert site visitors to your newsletter? Which is what we were talking about earlier, but how do you do that? How do you get people onto that newsletter?
All right, the best way, and the best way is to offer something. I mean, that's just number one. Offer something of value. All right. If you have some cheap throwaway thing that you didn't even care about, no one else can care about either. So have something of value, and make it very presentable. Don't go right up there, and have it kind of go to. Again, you're looking at things above the fold. if something's kind of tucked away in the bottom and no one ever sees the offer of your site because it's in the site footer, like way down there,
Mhm.
no one's ever going to go. No one's going to go if they're not enticed to go. So that's the biggest benefit of, say, the slide out of the pop-up. It's just to inform people that there is an offer, something they can do. Or you can have that be, at kind of the top section of your site or somewhere very visible. So that's generally the best way to do it. The other way is to not make it overly complicated.
Mhm.
I've had authors say, well, I want a whole form. I want them to do a form. I want to know all these things about them. And I'm like, then set up a survey and send it to your existing newsletter signups. If you want people to sign up, name and email max, click go, get it out of the way, streamline it. Don't make it
Right.
complicated. I definitely recommend having the sign up be embedded on your website, not going to somewhere else. One, generally, it's a little more accepted. But the other is if you ever want to change your newsletter provider, for example, let's say you're getting close to a pay tier and you want to switch out to a different service, or you're getting a better deal somewhere else, or you're trying to streamline out, or maybe you just don't like who you have. If you're that embedded in their system that all of the back matter of your books, the advertisements that you've had running for weeks or months, all the links on your site all direct people to something that is by that other provider,
Mhm.
you're never getting out of there,
Mhm.
or you're going to spend a lot of effort to get out of there. So most of these providers, either they provide an integration to a form on your website or some other thing, or they provide an embedding little code snippet you can embed into your website. Keep it all on the site. That way, if you ever change anything, the links don't change. It's mydomain.com/newsletter, no matter who provider you're using. You just, whatever form they fill out belongs to somebody else. It doesn't matter. So I definitely recommend those things. Like, I think those are kind of the top kind of ways to grow it.
Yeah, David, he was listening to what you were saying, and he said, I've noticed this too. I sell a few books mainly via Twitter, but Twitter links clicks do not correlate well with sales.
They don't. And I think the last time we talked, Kayleen, I think you mentioned something about people's click rate with advertising. That people were getting, at first they had to work hard to get like a Facebook ad to click on it at all, and say they got 100 clicks and maybe 2 of them bought something. Like, that click-through rate was small. And that's because they might not be necessarily looking to buy. They might be looking to find out what the book is about, or what you're about, or other information. So sometimes you have that, and everyone isn't clicking on an ad with the intent to buy your book. They might just want to know what your book's about. It's not like that ad's giving you a big dissertation on your book. It's just it's a picture, and half the time it's a picture that's not your book. It's some other stock picture that I read Mal Cooper's book, and those things was, hey, you might not always use your cover art. Okay, so now they clicked on a picture that sounded kind of enticing, and they go to Amazon, and that's not the picture they clicked on. And so now they're like, what's this? And I don't know. And, so it depending on how your ad is crafted, is going to have a big impact on what happens when they click on it.
And
What
if they're
happens
being
there.
driven to a website where that ad goes to your website, where it's to that specific series page, maybe you could still have that graphic somewhere, but then they see these books and they have descriptions and it's gorgeous, and they're just like, ooh, what is all this stuff that seems interesting?
Some
And they're not being forced to purchase now, buy this, buy that, here's air freshener. I don't know, because they have random ads around Amazon for all the things. But yeah.
I mean, people click through. I've been clicking on a lot of Athon Books ads lately. I don't know why, but they keep showing up my feed, and they got really cool graphics, and I've been clicking on them to see what they're about. And some of my clients have deals with them, so I was always like, oh, well, how's their marketing doing and stuff. And I'm not clicking to buy that book. I mean, I might be clicking to buy that book, but Not really. I'm clicking to see what they did. People click on things for a whole lot of reasons. It's not always to buy.
Mm.
But then again, sometimes they like what they saw. They're not ready to buy now, but then 2 weeks later, they buy all on their own.
Yeah, they just gotta keep seeing it.
Yeah.
Here's another question. This one's from Bill Frisbee. Are there any WordPress themes you recommend? Any special plugins that are a must-have?
We covered this last time, and but I'll go through it because I saw his picture and I commented back to him on Facebook that I wouldn't go through individual plugins, but I talked about capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
You want a theme that allows you to get the layout that you want. A lot of times, the more stripped down a theme, the better, because it gives you more room to play with. You get to kind of build things out. I don't necessarily like page builders. I'm not a big fan of page builders. I think that WordPress blocks are really advanced these days, and I think they're a match for any page builder out there. So I usually just build with straight WordPress. In terms of plugins, there are millions of plugins. I mean, and it's hard to kind of say one specifically because some work better with certain themes than others, and there's a little give and take there that kind of things go. But for an author, there's a few things you want specifically. Specific capabilities. So you want the capability to control your SEO. You want the capability to manage your social media capability status. So when something's shared on social media, you control what that looks like and the words that go with it. You want a book management plugin. There are some that, like My Book Table is one. We use a custom one for Mod Farm, so ours isn't available for anybody else. But My Book Table is one. If you have a Genesis theme, you could use Author Pro from Genesis. There's, I think, Novelist is one, or Noveler, or something like that. There's a couple out there. Or you could, if you're really crafty, you can make your own custom post type if you wanted to. But that's really it's going above and beyond, I think. But you want something that organizes your books, that takes some of the work out of it for you, so that you can manipulate them a little easier. You want security. You want a security plugin. It doesn't matter. WordFence, Defender, whichever. They all do the job. But you'll want one because most hosts don't provide any security whatsoever. They're just, you sort it out. Some that can handle some backups, that can do some things like that. That's all kind of on you for most hosting. So you want something that can do that. But those are the big capabilities in terms of plugins. Other stuff is things that are particular to what you want to use. Maybe a pop-up plugin if you want that, or a form plugin if you want that. But those are things that I would recommend.
That's a good list, a good starter list.
That is, yes. I did not know that about like the security, which these days so much stuff is online, so easy to get into for the people who know how to do such things. Definitely protect all the things, all the stuff.
Protect all the things
every time. What it really comes down to for me, of everything that we've been talking about, streamline your website. Direct what you're selling. Maybe you have that. Okay, no, I totally just bungled that up. No, let's rewind it. I'm going to start again. Okay, website. Definitely keep it streamlined. Make it easy for people to click around and view. If they click a link, make sure that link adds a tab. Don't make it overwrite the tab that your website is on, because now they have to work harder to get back to your website. Give them the information that Amazon does, but in a much easier fashion. They don't have to scroll through 20,000 other books. They don't have to wade through all of the ads that are surrounding it. Make your buy now button pop. Definitely make it pop. If you are a blogger, tie your blogs into the type of stuff that you write. Military science fiction, You do a whole blog post on different guns, tactics. Frisbee could
Yeah.
probably tell you more.
Actually, that's exactly right. You know,
Yeah.
people who are cops, I see people who are retired soldiers, and they never write about that stuff. They never write about the authenticity. You know, and people like that. They want to hear that you know what you're talking about, that you have been there in the trenches. It adds depth to your writing. But instead, you know, people write about, oh, the latest sci-fi craze on, you know, whatever this goofy show was on Hulu or whatever. People, there's a whole bunch of people that write about Hulu. They're not coming to you to write about Hulu. They want to talk about, you know, what you did on patrol. You know,
That is true.
You know, and trigger finger discipline. That's a huge thing.
that's right.
Keep the finger off the trigger, man, unless you're shooting someone. We did get one last minute question. I know we're over. I hope you're okay. Bob, I'm not even going to attempt it. Is it worth it to pay someone to design my website because I'm a novice?
Well, since I design websites, I'm gonna say absolutely, Bob. Absolutely. Matter of fact, pay dearly. That depends a lot on what you're doing, and depends on how novice and what it is that you want to do. You know, I always say that if you're a newer author, having a professional come in early is cheaper, because you don't have as much content. So actually, the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a number of new author websites that have, you know, 2, 3, 4 books. So the cost is cheap as opposed to someone who has, you know, 100 books. There's a lot of effort in a website that has 100 books. You know, so one, you know, if you start earlier, it's a little cheaper. If you start earlier, you might have someone able to kind of set you on the right path earlier, so there's less sort of starting over. It's more of a continual growth instead of a, oh, that didn't work, burn it all down and start over type of thing. You know, so, and it also, quite frankly, depends on your budget. You know, if you don't have any money, you know, go lean. You know, there's a lot of things that let you do it for yourself, and you can get the starter pack going. You know,
WordPress.
there's a lot of tutorials out there on saying, hey, have these things, or here's a way to set up this theme for your author website or whatever, and you can do it fairly on the cheap. The important thing is to do it. And no matter what, if you're on a budget, and I totally understand that, at least have your own domain name and own your own domain name. You know, so don't just have, and I don't know you, Bob, so I'm just going to say it, bob.wordpress.com. Don't do that. Have, you know, bobtheauthor.com. And that way that's you. And so if you ever move off that platform, or if you go to, you were on Wix and now you want to go to something more robust, or you want to change, everything comes with you. You own it all, and it comes with you with a domain name. If you're renting something, if you're on someone else's domain, it's free, you know, but $12 a year for your own domain name is well worth every penny.
Remember, you can't knock down walls in a rental.
That's right. You cannot knock down walls in a rental. You know, so I would recommend that. But if you're not tech savvy and you would rather focus on writing, yeah, having a designer, you know, is not a bad thing. Just know your budget and work to your budget.
Yeah, and you might be surprised at it's not necessarily a bank breaker to have someone else design your website and maintain it every month. It can be quite a bit lower than maybe you were thinking in your head. So ask around and get references and
exactly ask around and get quotes.
Yeah.
There are people that will. There are definitely some companies that are used to very high-end sites that deal with top-level authors and publishers, specifically, and their sites go in the thousands. You know, if you buy one of them, you can easily spend $3, $4, $5, $10,000 on a website. Most people don't ever need that. That's a lot, and you're not getting capability. You're just getting more glam, better graphics, better things. It's a lot of extra. You can get a really good website for a couple $100 from a designer. Certainly under 500 can get you a whole lot. And a lot of my clients have tried to do things on their own and got frustrated, and then when they come to me, they said, "Oh, I've tried for 2 years to get this to work," and a designer can get it to working in 15 minutes, and then you're off. So there is some expertise, and sometimes that helps with your frustration. For us, the biggest thing at Mod Farm is that we want authors to write and not worry about the technical stuff of their website. Don't worry about changing the form for your newsletter or adding your book page or any of that stuff. Just don't worry about that. Focus on writing. We'll worry about that.
So to me, it sounds like there's a lot of options out there for the price of one book cover, one good book cover, I should say. You can have a website that's working for you, in a way that, Twitter, Amazon, some Facebook can't, because, they're tailoring everything. Your website is all you, all day, 24/7.
Yep.
So what you put out there, even something is better than nothing at the end of the day. We're 10 minutes over. I don't know, did you have any last minute thoughts, Lauren? Did you have any last minute thoughts, Rob?
I warned you guys at the beginning. I talked for hours on this, and I still totally could, and I need to cut it off. But I would just say that like you said, the sum up is good, and don't be afraid to share your website and let people know it's out there. It works better the more you share it around.
All right. Treat your website like you treat your books. Share it, advertise it, get the word out there. All right, Rob. How can our viewers, if they're like, man, I don't want to do this thing, I want to contact Rob and have him do the thing for me so I don't have to worry about it, where can they find you, reach you?
We are at modfarmdesign.com.
All right. You heard it here. modfarmdesign.com, and
that's it.
Got the link in there. All right. Super awesome sauce. Let me see if there's anything special in here that I need to read. Oh, no. Why is it so far down? Blog here. All right. Thank you, listeners, viewers, and all the things. It doesn't. I really should have read this before I looked at it. All right.
Parrots?
Huh?
Parrots?
Parrots. All right. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, ding the little bell. Give us comments. Let us know what you thought about the show. Hit us up on our Facebook group, Keystroke Medium. We are the only keystroke out there. We want to know what you want to hear about. Be it on live with Josh and Scott and Chuck. Be it deep dives in all the things with me and Lauren. Let us know the people that you want to hear from, the experts that you want to know, topics, all that good stuff, all that jazz. And as always, you ready for it, Sapphire? Oh, yeah, we're doing it. Come on, show your wingspan. No, she's not going to do it. For Lauren Moore, I'm Kayleen Williams. Thank you so much for joining us on your writer's journey. Be sure to check us out next week. We're going to talk about more reading, writing, everything in between right here on Keystroke Mediums, The Writer's Journey.